Welcome everybody to another episode of the Limitless Wombman Podcast. I'm Gina, the naturalistic mystic. I'm a transformational coach, certified facilitator, women's circles, workshop leader, retreat creator, and keynote speaker dedicated to all aspects of women empowerment. This podcast is all about letting your light shine and a space for real conversations where we can talk about raw truths and bold transformations. We're here because I want to bridge the gap and shift the narrative between men and women, fostering deeper understanding, compassion, and unity. I'm really happy today to have my guest, Carole Favre. She is a passionate storyteller, growth and love coach for men, and the author of a transformative novel, The Book of Ola, which is amazing because it was inspired by her ex-partner, a man of Yoruba descent. I have read snippets of the book and it's a beautiful book, which Carole will talk to you about later. So she has over 20 years of experience across all continents, mentoring women and coaching women and men. And she has a very deep understanding of all things feminine that help men. So this is going to be a very, very juicy, wonderful conversation. And I'm really looking forward to getting into it. Welcome, Carole. So I love that you wrote this book. And I know it was inspired by your ex, but what was the bigger inspiration to just even get you to think to write this book in the first place?
So actually, he was the inspiration because this wasn't a book at first. It was a story.
Yeah.
That I wrote for him for his birthday as a present. And it just happened that a couple of years after I finished writing that story, which was initially 24 pages, I had the chance to take a storytelling course. Because storytelling was not actually really part of my life in the way that I do it now. And then from that storytelling course, I had to stand on stage and tell a story in front of 100 people. And I actually told the story of being molested as a child and the consequences that it had on my life. And then I was asked to do another story on stage within 10 days. And this one was completely different. It was about my spiritual enlightenment through my sexual adventures in Ubud, Bali. So it was a completely different flavor, but I definitely needed to do that to offload all the kind of trauma and pain that I had been through, because it was very heavy writing that story. And after that, I thought that I really, really wanted to write, but I didn't quite know what to write. And I went out for lunch by the beach with two girlfriends. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to read them snippets of this story. And so I did. And they said, but this is not a story, this is a book. That was on Sunday afternoon. And on Monday morning, I started writing that book with the delusion that it would take me 6 months to do that. And 3.5 years later, I am here. The novel is in the process of being edited at the moment. It's gone through one set of edits with a Yoruba editor. And then now I am going through another set of edits with an Igbo editor, but they're both in Nigeria. And they're both male, because I wanted Nigerian male editors to really help me check the story, check the facts, make sure that there is a vibe, to the book that really honors the culture and that also honors the man. So that was very, very important to me. And, earlier you presented yourself as being a bridge between men and women. I present myself as a bridge between cultures, genders, and generations. I've widely traveled. I've worked on the African continent and lived there a little bit. So it's it's a continent that fascinates me, you know. Here in Bali, which is where I live, we have we regularly have Disco Africa events, where we all go and check our little booty to African music, and we get amazing DJs coming from the continent as well. So it's very much part of my life, and the reason I really dedicated my 3.5 years now, and probably it would be like 4 years in total, is that I fell in love with a man who went through so much in his life that he could not open to love. And it really saddened me immensely to see such an amazing heart not being able to, to express itself, because men emote so much from within, but do not have the vocabulary to label the emotions that they perceive or that they experience, and then they don't have the capabilities to express the words in a way that doesn't carry some kind of like physical weight, that could be perceived for women as aggressive. And then they don't also have the ability to hold other people as they go through their emotions, because seeing a woman cry reminds them of seeing their mother cry. And they don't want that. They have this thing where they don't like seeing people in pain and they want to be in solution mode. But the last thing that, a person in pain wants, especially a woman, is a solution. She just wants to be held. Yes. So I got this kind of very massive realization that men go through so much trauma and no one speaks about it. Plus, of course, when you look at the statistics and you see that men are killing themselves at an unprecedented rate, that there is a disconnection and polarization between genders that I certainly did not experience when I grew up. I decided to shift my focus on coaching women to coaching men now, on emotions and on managing this tension between love and business, because they're often, they're creating their stuff, they're creating their empire, and they don't have space for women. So it's and women have got very little patience with men nowadays. So it's like this conflict that is happening where everyone is on on their mission, and they're not integrating each other, and there's so much bad, negative, like toxic discourse out there about men and women. It's terrible. Absolutely terrible. There is no compassion, no listening, no understanding. So the book has really two aims: to show women that men have trauma, and to show men that they also experience trauma. So they have a chance to actually recognize some of their experiences through the book.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. And you touched on something there that really I've become quite observant of and a bit passionate about too, which is what maybe inspired me to create this podcast, because I've seen the level of toxicity in terms of, there's no compassion between the sexes. There's all this, it's like battle of the sexes. And I know it's being pushed as an agenda somewhere above all of us. And I don't know what their point is. I don't know what the thing is. But what I am starting to observe is that people are being drawn into it so strongly, and they're not aware that their thoughts, their process may not necessarily be from them. I had a conversation actually very recently with somebody who showed me a clip. It was some kind of dating game, and this woman had presented herself a certain way, and then this man didn't like her, and all the men in the panel agreed. And so this person was saying, see, even all the men, and I was like, this is a reality TV show, and that they are paid thousands to put people in a room to give a perspective. 4 guys agreeing doesn't make it right, you know. It just means that they've created, and that the fact that we're having this conversation means that they've done their job, because actually there's a bigger aspect to it, you know. And this was me just talking to a guy who was clearly wanting to push, not push, but maybe process a point about what he thought of women. But I see this as well on the reverse with women, like, you know, this is what you're saying. It's like all men are this, all men are that. And then you'll see a comment, and then you'll see like hundreds of women going, yeah, men.
It's so much easier to tap into negativity, you know, because it's tapping into our daily stress. And it's giving the opportunity to people to vent, because they don't have any platforms to vent officially, because they don't have anyone to listen to them. They live in isolation. They speak to, you know, they speak to Netflix, or they don't speak at all. Yes. So they rarely have friends, or if they have friends, they go out and they get drunk, or the level of conversation is so superficial that they don't actually get to be themselves and to express what they really feel. So they're going to lash out at the first ever opportunity that they have, without understanding that we are all humans. It is an othering, you know, at another level. You know, we've tapped into the othering of around color, around origins, around cultures, and now we need another enemy, and we need another othering. So let's other the gender. Yes. And it's just like, what purpose does it serve? Because we're all losing. We're creatures of connection. We're creatures that are supposed to live together. Okay. You want children, you don't want children, it doesn't matter. But the statistics are unequivocal. Men do much better when they are married than when they are not. Yes?
Yes.
And women do much better when they are supported emotionally than when they are not. You know, married or not married. So these connections, and we all live longer if we are in community, or if we are connected to people that take care of us. So on what planet do we think that we can do things alone? I'm drinking my mug of tea. What is a mug of tea without tea inside? What is a pair of headphones if I don't put it in my ears? What is a mouse without a computer? Everything exists in duality all over, like all around our environment. And we have the audacity to think that we can do everything on our own, and that we don't need each other. It begs disbelief. It's like we're going against nature. Like, open your eyes, people. Look around, and you will see you are nothing without someone else. So I find it absolutely incredible that we are buying into these lies, but it feeds into our insecurities. It feeds into our sense of wanting to belong to the tribe of the haters or the lover. So whatever we are, you know, there is this divide, and it's the old rule. It's this thing, rule through division, you know?
Yeah.
And it works, and people are still buying into it, and it's quite formidable that we haven't learned, you know, from this. And it is crazy. And for me, it is a matter of integrity. If you embrace, you know, if you want to have a life that is more inclusive, and you know, you surround yourself by friends of different cultures, you know, from different origins, then that approach to your life should be applied to how you approach men. You You can't dissociate it. But I find it really funny that we say, oh yeah, it's okay in one area of my life, but it's not okay in the other.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's everywhere, or it's nowhere, or otherwise you don't have integrity. And it's not easy because of course we're different. So it's not easy.
Yeah.
But it's necessary.
Necessary, absolutely. And there's a lot of women in these spaces that have voices and are followed by many that speak very, very negatively about men. And it seems accepted because it's gone done under the guise of women's support, women's empowerment and all this lot. But it's not very empowering to hate.
It really isn't.
So
I don't seek my power into, into hating someone else. I seek it into loving someone. And if that love is difficult, then that creates tension. And this is where I learn. It's and whatever we are, one of the other reasons that I do what I do is because my brother went through a lot of trauma. And I could not help him as a sister. I didn't know. Like we don't when we're young, no one teaches you how to be a good sister. There is no book that you read. I don't even know that there is one that's written right now. But statistically we know that men do better when they have supporting sisters as well as supporting mothers. So it really impacts, And that trauma ended up in my brother deciding to exit, to leave the family one day. And I haven't seen my brother nor spoken to my brother in 15 years. And I only found out 6 months ago where he is and that he's still alive. So to ignore that men go through stuff and that this has serious consequences. And it has consequences on me because I'm a sister without a brother. And it would be great to have a brother at times, I really would welcome it. Definitely. So we lose on so many aspects. So many aspects.
And yes, there are statistics that prove a lot of things that have been done by the patriarchy, and that story is not going, we're not invalidating any of that. No. We're not saying that those things aren't true. We're not saying that women's health care, mental health, and that should be supported and looked at really strongly. We are not saying that here at all. But what we are saying is that they are not all like that. And I know that sounds like a backhanded or some sort of bypassing, but it's not. It's really not about bypassing. It's about acknowledging that in order for us to live in a world like you live in, if you work in a job, you do your best to get on with your colleagues so that you can have a good environment and you can all work together. If you live in a world where we are men and women, it would be good for us as women not to carry a baggage of hate and anger and angst against men, especially because we have to deal with them all the time. So some compassion, some understanding is something really valuable, and we can just meet,
And exactly. And the thing is that what do we reproach men? We reproach them to be at war and to carry hatred. And then we think that equality is about doing exactly the same, but it isn't. So we show up as men,
Yeah.
And these men all have mothers. So what's happened? We also, these things are co-created. We cannot stand as women and say that none of us, and I speak about my 4 mothers, or my mothers, and I speak about myself, that we are not partly responsible for creating men that actually are in service to us. Something's gone wrong somewhere where we are obviously, as a collective, not doing the things that serve us the best. So we also have to learn how to raise great men. And I know that a lot of mothers now of young boys are reaching out and asking themselves this question: what do I do with my young teenager? What do I do with my young boy? I want him to become a really good man. Where can he look to? Who can he follow online? Whom can I trust? And in that, I think we forget that men need female and male role models, and elders in their life. And so do women. Women need men and women role models, because there are different energies that are incredibly important in the making of us, in the amplification of ourselves, and in the amplification, expansion, in the realization of all our dreams.
100%, 100%. I love everything you're saying, really, and that's why I'm so happy to have you in this space. We were talking briefly about, well, you've mentioned a couple of things, but it's like what's becoming obvious to me with men and with women is the noise. It's the noise that's in between us all. And it's kind of like, why can't we always talk about, treat somebody how you want to be treated, and we talk about wanting to be understood, and people to have some compassion for us, and we just completely forget to have it for others, like just completely forget. But I do know that there is such a powerful drive at the moment, because there's a lot going on in the world, and while people are conflicting and distracted, many more important things are going unseen, and things are happening to the world that we don't have much control over, or we would have if our focus was on those important things, but instead they're attacking each other. And I recently joined a room called the Black Men's Venting Room, and it's hosted by women, where we sit and give space to men to vent. And it was a very,
I know of this room.
Yeah, and it was very interesting for me, because I sat and I listened in my first room, and I was like, a couple of times I wanted to say something, and I was like, this isn't even about you. Like, just be quiet and listen. Hear, what is it you're hearing? What is he saying? Just be in his moment. Let his stuff come out. And it was really, really a good, I thought that I am someone that does that, but being put in that position, I realized that there is more to work to be done, to be able to do that like naturally, not to bypass someone and go, yeah, well, women have it like this, because sometimes when women have their rooms, men do the same. Like, I've worked with men who also don't want to take accountability, and will be like, well, you know what, if women didn't do that, it's where we're just talking, if we can just hear the problem. And I think that's part of what it is. It's like, when somebody has an argument with someone and they use a certain tone, so all the person does is get upset because they think that they were talking to them disrespectfully, but they didn't hear the words of what the person actually said. And actually the words are the important bit, not the tone. I feel like that's what's happening with men and women. And also, you gave a statistic about men doing better in being married.
Yes, they also do. They live from 3 to 7 years longer when they're married.
Yeah, but there's a lot of statistics for women that say if they're not married, they
they're
live
not
longer.
Exactly. But that is very interesting. The only reason why that is not true of women is because women take on all the emotional weight of being in a marriage. So instead of having or sharing their life with emotionally courageous and emotionally aware men, they take on all the burden, which is the reason why women have got the majority of autoimmune disease. And that is why. Now, I am certain that these women, if they share the emotional load with the men, would live much longer as well.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
the men don't have to take on that burden, which is one of the reasons why they live longer.
yeah. But you also made a really good point, but you did make a good point when you said that. You said women do better with good emotional support.
Yes.
So actually, this is what the reason I brought that up is because that statistic on its own is like, oh, well, women do better without men. No. You can't just take one little bit by itself and go, well, that's the reason why we shouldn't have men. Because actually, if you go on further, it's a bit like that saying, a man, what's it called? Skill, jack of all trades, but master of none.
Oh yeah.
That if you take the first part of that, it looks bad, but actually the whole saying is actually giving props to people who have plenty of skills, because it's actually good, but we only
I'm one of those people. I'm one of those people, and I'm really proud of the fact that I can put up shelves, and sew and cook and have a very intellectual debate, hosting philosophy club. It's I'm not reduced to one version of myself.
Nobody should be.
And no, exactly, but it's so scary to get out of the mold. For many people, for me, it never was, because I'm kind of weird like that. Okay, so I'm like, I'm 17 and I need to go. That was it. So, and I left France 34 years ago now. Yes. So it is a long time ago. And I joke when I say I've had more reinvention than Madonna. So I've never been afraid of exploring different aspects of myself, of discovering, oh my God, I can do this. Whoa, really? Okay. Like, let's do this. Okay. I can learn that. In the last, 3 months, 6 months, I've completely embraced AI. I've learned a lot. I've acquired skills that I didn't have before. So it's been absolutely fascinating, and that's it. For me, life is about courage.
Yes.
So either you embrace emotional courage and you go places that you're not used to go to. Yes, even if it hurts, but it creates so much deeper connection. Yes. And I define courage as doing something that unsettles you. It's not courageous to jump off a cliff if you always jump off a cliff. It's not courageous for me to perform my poetry in front of an audience, because I love it. So it requires zero courage of me. Yes. But there are other aspects of my life where it's much more courageous for me to post on Instagram, for example, because I don't like it. Yes. So this is, this is the definition of courage. You need to experience tension, to experience discomfort in order to grow. Yes.
Yeah.
And in relation to what you were saying about being in this venting room for men, it is a form of courage to stay silent. It is when you are triggered, to the bone, and you hear things where like, oh my God, Andrew Tate is in the room. This is terrible. Yes, I have to do something about it. I cannot let this. But you really need to zip it up when you are someone who talks a lot, like me. This is like, whoa. And here in Bali, we have this thing about authentic relating. And one of the first things that I learned when I came back to the island was to reflect the words that you hear from someone. So when we have a conversation, and it's quite funny because really everyone does it here, someone will express something, and then the first thing you will say is, so what I heard is that, ta-da-dam, ta-da-dam, ta-da-dam. I mean, everyone that's a tourist, or everyone that comes first on the island and listens listen to us, who've been living on the island for a few years, talk like that. They think we're completely and utterly Barbie. Like, what the hell is this about? But honestly, this is such a good way to make sure that you've understood what the person has said. I will never forget the first time that I clicked about the fact that we use the same words, but we don't understand the same thing. And it was with my ex-partner from the UK. And it was a conversation we had just after we broke up. And I looked at him and I said, but I thought you loved me. You're the first one who said, I love you. And then he gave me his definition of love. And I thought, oh, that's where we went wrong. Okay. And now I have become a woman of words because I craft stories and I craft poetry, and every single one of my words is weighted and chosen carefully, for impact. I make sure that I understand what people are telling me, and because I think that a lot of us are unconsciously hearing the things we want to hear.
Yes. And I think our wounds here are old pain.
Completely.
Quite frankly. So basically when we're triggered, right? So when this person said something to me, I was like, and this isn't in the venting room, this was just in the conversation. And I was like, my old self would have gone flying back with a response. And I was like, you're feeling quite triggered. Take a minute and just read that. And then if you want, you can still give your response, but less from the defense and less from the attack, more from like owning. And I actually owned that I had to take a minute to respond because I was feeling, I had to think about it, and I think accountability, vulnerability, just saying, look, I'm feeling a bit triggered and I don't really know what this is about, because a lot of the times the things that we are reflecting back to these people, whoever it is, they didn't do it. Something in the past happened. They didn't do it. They've just reminded you of something which has made you feel that emotion that's all bubbled up. And now you're coming at them with the force of this delayed, maybe sorrow of not letting it out on that I don't know what it is, make up what you will. We come back at them and then they come back at us with their wounded. And we're not even really talking about whatever we were talking about anymore. It's just two children arguing from their 4-year-old.
Yes, because we're always triggered at the age that we've experienced the trauma that triggers us. Yes. So we are back, and I do that, now when I'm put back in the situation where I was sexually molested. And I know I'm in front of this man who is telling me what to do. And I feel that I'm back there. I will tell people. I will say, oh, the people that know the story. And I will say, oh, I'm back, actually. And if I don't tell it to them, I tell it to myself. I'm like, oh, I'm back in the toilets now. Okay. Like, what is this about? And, what, let me do a Bali authentic relating thing. What I heard you say is that you take time to connect with your body, and you take time to connect with your emotions, and you take time to understand where those emotions are coming from and where is it that you are feeling it. And by focusing your brain, your attention on your body, you're focusing less anger at the other person. And just to be quite clear, yes, this is an end result. This is a goal. And mea culpa, I don't happen to be successful at doing that, all the time. Yes. But I can tell you what I have gained is an understanding of when I'm triggered, and I'm like deciding that I don't care. I'm triggered. I'm still going to say what I'm going to say. So I know that I'm in the trigger phase, and then I know that it's going to turn out not as I wanted it to be, and I will be in trouble. Sometimes we can't stop ourselves. This is this kind of like this urge, this thing. I think about speaking up, because now we're adults, and as children, when that thing was done to us, we didn't have the voice, we didn't have the words. So now it's like we're on this vengeance quest, Every time we hear this thing that gets triggered, we need to make a point, because we did not have a chance to do it in that moment.
Yeah,
100%.
So
I didn't scream when this man assaulted me. And the first thing that my father unwisely asked me was, why did you not scream? It took me virtually 30 years to work out that no one taught me. And I didn't know I could. As a child, there are so many things that we don't know. Yes. So that's the place where we go back. We go back to that place where we just freeze. For me, I freeze in those moments. Not only does my body freeze, but my brain like gets in frozen mode. I can't find anything. I'm just like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And it takes some time to, as you say, to get back into the body and to say, oh my God, this is where I am.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And what, and what can I do? And it's training. It's like you've got to train yourself, and you've got to do it constantly. It requires a lot of work to master these triggers, and I don't believe that the triggers ever disappear. But we manage them better, and you and I, that's how we met. We learned that. Yes. So we learned that together by following the same coaching. Exactly. Coaching program. So that was which for me never started as coaching, by the way. It started as something's broken, I have to fix it, I've got to learn. Yes. And after that, I was open to this world of coaching, which I didn't know anything about. I never, ever read a book about self-development. And I entered this space when I was, in my mid-40s. So it was just really so many new things, that I was unconscious about. And that's one of the reasons what I'm doing, because so many of us operate in complete and utter, I was going to say la la land, but it's cloud. It's cloudy,
Very cloudy, very.
It's very cloudy.
Yeah.
And it's like a bad English winter,
Yeah, no, it's powerful. What's so funny? When I do these podcasts, I've got these lists of questions that I go through, and literally we've just been talking and you've been answering. I haven't actually I looked at them and I thought she's just saying everything. I don't even need to ask her. Although one of the things I do like to find out, because I just love this conversation, and this is my issue, is that I try to make these podcasts timely, but I'm always so enjoying myself chatting to my guests, and I'm really having a good time.
I'm enjoying chatting to you.
Yeah, so, I'm enjoying chatting.
Bollocks to the timing.
Yeah.
I'm French, but we break the rules,
I know, say to we in Nigeria, as you will know. But what I would love to know is what is letting your light shine mean to you, and also if you can add on to that when you do it, what is the moment in your life that changed for you, that made you go, like a pivotal moment in your life that led you to embrace your potential, to to even really go for this? Would you have we've kind of covered it a bit, but a bit more like from a specific kind of like for you? Is there a particular pivotal moment? And is that how you, because your light is shining so brightly with what you're doing at the moment, and you just seem to be in your complete element. And so I feel like there was a pivotal moment where you went from, because you used to do the traveling a lot thing with the women, didn't you, and all
No,
that lot.
I would say I would say COVID.
Fantastic.
Whatever you say about COVID, and it was a disaster for many, many people. And actually, I lost everything with COVID because I used to work in the responsible tourism business, and I just came back from a job in Benin. Yes. And that's what I used to do. I used to travel the world, and I used to train men and women in the tourism industry and help them craft experiences for tourists that were immersive, that would bring them money to get out of poverty. So my area of expertise was always working in countries that were much less developed, but had amazing heritage that no one knew about. So I was already doing storytelling, but I never called it storytelling. I saw myself as a consultant, as a teacher, but like never ever as a storyteller. So I came back from Benin, and then COVID happened. So I just didn't have a job. And I was like, what the hell am I going to do? And I woke up one morning, and people think of purpose as something that comes from you, that you just find yourself. And what I have learned is that there are two types of purposes. There are purposes that comes from vision that are internalized. Yes. And I do vision work with people. Again, this is something that the two of us learned, and it's incredibly powerful. But there are also visions that are given to you by events. So you find your purpose in things that happen outside events that you're not controlling any of this, but somehow your intuition grabs something out of that. So I was unpacking my luggage from Benin, and I was stuck at my parents', first time ever, 50 years old, with my parents. Yes. And my mother was complaining about the amount of stuff that I had brought back. Where the hell are you going to put all these things? And that was it. And I went to bed. And in the morning, I woke up and I thought, you know what? We can't travel. Why don't I pick an object from every single one of my trips and do a video on them? And I'm going to call it Travels Around My Bedroom. And then for, the whole period of kind of like April, May, June, into July, every day I woke up and I did a video, which I posted in those solo women travel groups on Facebook. Yes. And they really loved it. So I did one after another, and I was like, oh, I just wanted to do one. And then they asked for more. So I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. And again, I didn't know I was a storyteller. I just it never entered my vocab, this word. But I was telling all these stories, and I was like, okay. Then I started coaching women on solo travel. And then I organized these online experiences for American women to learn how to be a French woman, and we were doing all these things online. And then I organized this around the world trip where I helped American women meet women I had met on my own travels all around the world. And every country that we went to, every woman had a lesson about life. Yes. So, from Benin to Lithuania to Peru. So I really wanted to bring culture to these white women. I wanted to change the dynamic. I didn't want to have a North or a west to east, or a north to south. I wanted to have a south to north and an east to west. That's what I wanted. Yes, because I know, like, I've learned so much. Yes.
Yeah.
And then I came back to Bali, and then I did this storytelling thing. And a month ago, I was sitting down here at this table, yes, and I was editing my book, and I thought, it makes no sense. I've got to shift to coaching men. I think actually it was 3 months ago now. And bang, that was it. So I think there are little downloads that you get from time to time.
Yeah.
Completely and utterly unplanned. Yes.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, I think there is an accumulation of awareness, and it piles and it piles and it piles up and it piles up. Yeah. And then, suddenly, I guess it's like let me be very French here. It is like a bottle of champagne. Okay. Where you have all these little bubbles that are in the bottle, and then suddenly, bang, the cork, just goes up. Yeah. So, and the cork is that idea, and then bang, that energy is flowing, and it's like, okay, people, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to create a masterclass. I'm going to write a survival guide, for men on emotional mastery. I'm going to organize dinners, which I call dinners with Mama Carole, every Wednesday at my home, where 8 men come with their food, their drinks, and a question to ask me. And I'm going to create a quiz for men to find out about their relationship, or the anxiety around business and women. And I'm going to go to the beach, and I'm going to speak to the men with my QR code, and I'm going to have conversations, and bang, and here we are. Yes.
Well,
So it's like, it's like when I started to write my book, it was the worst financial decision I ever made in my entire life. Okay. Because when you write, you just write. Okay. There is no space for doing anything. And people were like, but do something else. And I can't. This is not a possibility. I don't care. I joke and I said, I don't care how many omelets I have to eat, or chicken liver I have to eat, because it's the cheapest thing you can get. I am writing this book.
That's amazing amount of determination, and I love that. I love that. Yeah, writing is it takes.
It's hard. It's hard. Listen, every day you're there, and from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. you write, regardless of how you feel. You write. People think that being an artist or a writer is like, oh, one day I will do this, and one day, oh, let me listen to my flow. Oh, today I'm not inspired. Yes. Well, when you want to publish a book, this kind of stuff is just not, it just doesn't exist. Okay. So you got to show up, you got to get over yourself, and you've got to do it. Otherwise it's not going to happen. Yes. Yeah. I don't care what they said. I had 2 motorbike accidents. I built this home. I had the menopause, and I was writing my book. That's it. There are things in life, you have no choice. It's like, well, and you will relate to that because you're a mother. Yes. You're pregnant. This thing has to come out. It's not staying here. Okay. So that's, and what I wish, you asked me this question about what does it feel like to shine your light? That's how it feels like. It feels like you can't stop yourself. Your passion takes over any kind of sanity, I would say. And I don't say follow my lead. Honestly, if you it would be much more intelligent to make sure that you have money coming in, and that you don't you are not in survival mode from one month to another. It will make the whole process much easier. Yes. But also, you know, as a poet and as a writer, my job is to kind of like tap into the pain. So I also guess that I had to go through this, and because this is my job. You can't really write about the trauma of a man if you're not experiencing trauma at the same time. It's terrible.
Absolutely.
Like the worst. This is the worst job description I'm putting together for the job of a poet or a writer. So I think I'm sounding like a masochist.
No, not at all. Not at all. I think you have a lot of passion and drive for what you do, and that shows and it comes across. And I think what people sometimes don't realize is because they're fantasy land, they think it's, like you said, being an artist is like this and that, but they don't realize the pain. A lot of people who are very expressive with their words or with their art have trauma and pain that they work out with
they do
with some of this
and
creativity. It's not
yes,
necessarily all about that, but I'm just saying that you have to feel something in order to write something that other people can feel.
yeah.
It's,
And I was
simple.
incredibly, I would say, you know, lucky to have a muse. And
oh, this is what I wanted to ask you about. I nearly forgot about that. Yes, please tell me about your muse.
Yeah, I think we very often, as women, we do not realize that men can be our muses. We always hear of men using or getting inspiration from women. The word using is loaded, but I think that for for some male artists, there was also some use. And rarely do we look at the potential that men can have for us as an inspiration, as a muse. And whatever happened with my ex-partner, whatever sadness I carry from this relationship not going where I wanted it to go, yes, I am so immensely grateful to him for coming into my life, but also for supporting what I'm doing, because I do not think that this book could be what it is if I was writing it in secret, to be able, and I have to tell you, I've been doing bedroom readings of the book here in Bali, curating small groups of people and reading my book to them. And I had men only evenings. And even my Nigerian editors have been absolutely amazing. I was gobsmacked at the way they've received this book. They're like, wow, we love it. And I wasn't expecting that, because I have this thing about, okay, like this is me. Let's not kid ourselves. Okay. I'm a French white woman. Okay. So it's, there was a lot of worry about that. And I am so relieved and so happy that it is received with love. And I think that it is because it is written from love, and because it is also held in love. And for whatever we create, that is so important. It is so important.
Yeah.
I think it's
beautiful.
Energy.
I think it's beautiful. And I love when we had the conversation before, when we talked about the muses, because I've had experiences of men in my life being a muse for me, like giving me creativity, giving me ideas, or because of how they were held, how I was held in that time, them inspiring me to just go and do more things. And that is really beautiful. And I think it goes back to what we were talking about in the beginning about how men and women in relationship, if we support each other, we become each other's muses. that's what we become. And to
Yeah.
have a muse in your life, if you haven't, as a woman, had a man who's been a muse for you, I hope you do soon one day, because it is a
Yeah, because
wonderful experience.
listen, there is nothing,
It's a really lovely
nothing,
experience.
yeah, more
Yeah,
exciting for
yeah.
me than
Mm.
being on stage doing my poetry and imagining that, you know, the man of my life is in this room and is getting excited and lit up and just, you know, wants to grab me and go to bed just because of the way that I perform, you know, when I'm doing my poetry or when I'm doing my
Yeah.
reading, when I'm doing my funny, cheeky, you know,
Yeah.
story. It's this thing about a man will love you when you are a new genius.
Yeah.
And you will love a man when you see him in his genius. And you don't have to do the same things. You know, I totally, I'm a big fan of Diary of a CEO of Stephen Bartlett. And Stephen Bartlett's girlfriend is into breath work, and she comes and very often does retreat in Bali. And he, in one of his podcasts, he described how he loves looking at her, you know, doing her breath work with her clients in a studio. He says it's amazing to see her in her, you know, at her best. Like it gives me energy. Yes.
Yeah.
So we often think like, oh, we have to do the same thing. We have to, no, we just, you just have to be inspired by how amazing your partner is in his element, and be there and watch it and just desire the out of him or out of her. You know, that desire is something that that exists in that. Yes, in the appreciation of each other's talent, gifts, skills, whatever they are. Like, I don't care, you could be a baker and you make the best cakes, you know, on the planet, and every time you eat it, it's like, my God, you know, you can find inspiration in like in so many people and in so many things that are around you.
Absolutely, 100%. I love that so much. I love that so much. And yeah, I've just enjoyed talking to you, and I'm really glad we got to speak about Muses, because that was actually something I really wanted to highlight in here, because that's very powerful. And everything you said, I can't think of anything you said that I haven't been like just sitting there nodding my head to, and yeah, just feeling the emotion of it all. I think it's wonderful. So can you tell us a bit about your book? When is it due to be released? When can people find you? I will also add all the information in the comments below.
Beautiful. Fantastic. So there is a website for my coaching, which is called Press and Perform. So men, if you listen to this, or ladies, if you have men who really need to up their game emotionally, like, send them to me. Yes. Mama Carole is here, and I'll do amazing work for them, and I'll ship them back to you. So you can have better relationships. And for the book, I've sent you something which is a pre-order link. Yes.
Oh, perfect.
It will be published by my birthday, which is on the 23rd of September. But just kind of like the pre-order includes an opportunity to actually read the first chapter of the book, and there is also a soundtrack. So I've created a soundtrack to the book where you immediately get transported to Lagos. Yes, so
I love
this. I wanted to give the opportunity to people to really kind of like plunge into the atmosphere.
See, as a Nigerian, I don't even know. You call someone who's in love with France a francophile, which I used to be called that. I don't know what you call a Nigerian who's in love with Nigeria.
Well, I mean, the thing is,
Nigerian file, even though I'm Nigerian.
Yeah, Nigeria file, or you can say Yoruba file, or Igbo file, or whatever. I don't know.
But as someone who's very proud of my culture, my heritage, and I love Nigeria, I really love, like, when I read the bit of your, you know, you sent me little bits, and I was really, I love how you get it. I love how you get it so much.
Thank
I really
you.
love how you get
Thank
it.
you. That's really,
Yeah, I love how you get
wow,
it. Really,
you
you
know,
don't seem to, when I connect with you, when I talk to you and you talk about Nigeria, you really get like us and our culture, and I don't feel like, I feel very at home talking to you about things like this. So I'm very, 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 very happy that and honored that you even taken on this project and that you're doing this book. So definitely, people, you need to go and pre-order this book because it's great. It's fantastic. She's a fantastic storyteller. It's such a delight to have spoken to you today. And also, if anybody watching this has loved it, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this YouTube channel, Limitless Wombman Podcast. Carole, thank you so much. It's been such a joy. I knew it was going to
Gina,
be like,
thank you.
but
Thank you
I've
for having
really
me.
enjoyed
You
it.
know, it's so important to create spaces
Yeah.
to discuss things that are, you know, at times somewhat controversial. So
Mm-hmm.
thank you for your courage. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for shining your light as well. Yes,
Thank you so much.
it's so important. So
I
thanks.
love you, love you, love you so much. Thank you. Bye, everybody. Till next series. Don't forget to like,
Bye.
subscribe, and share.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much. Bye.